Tonight, a horror weekend on our roads, with 2 lives lost in the space of a day. And New South Wales teachers set for a fight with the state government over conditions.
From our 7 Spencer Golf Studios, your nightly news with John Hunt begins now.
Good evening, everyone. It's been a terrible weekend on our region's roads, with 2 fatal crashes in the space of 24 hours on National Highway 1. We start in Port Augusta, where a man has died following what police believe is a hit and run at Stirling North yesterday. Katrina Musson has more.
Police and emergency services were called here to the Augusta Highway at 6:30 last night. Following reports, a man was found lying by the side of the road. Major crash investigators arrived from Adelaide and examined the scene overnight. Sadly, the 20-year-old local man was unable to be saved and was pronounced dead at the scene. It's believed the man was walking south along the Augusta Highway when he was struck by a vehicle, also travelling in a southerly direction. Police are appealing for the driver of that vehicle to come forward to them. The highway was closed to southbound traffic for a number of hours, but was eventually reopened by the morning. Investigations into the circumstances that led to the crash are ongoing. Police are urging anyone who was travelling along the highway between 6 to 6:30 last night, who may have seen the pedestrian walking along the side of the road or has dashcam footage, to contact Crime Stoppers. The man's life is the 47th lost on South Australian roads this year.
Meanwhile, a cyclist was killed on Saturday afternoon on the Augusta Highway at Red Hill. The victim was a few hundred kilometres into a charity ride when he was struck by a van towing a trailer. Shari Hams has the details.
It's been a horror weekend on the region's roads, with a 69-year-old Norton Summit man falling victim to a crash near Red Hill. Just after 3 o'clock, emergency services were called to the Augusta Highway near Tours Gap Road. Paramedics were faced with a tragic scene after a Ford van towing a trailer struck cyclist Bernie Scanlon, who died at the scene. He was on the road as part of a charity event raising money for a Uganda orphanage. Only a few hundred metres into the ride, he had set out to reach Darwin until tragedy struck. Mr. Scanlon is being remembered for his devotion to helping those who need it most.
Thank you so much, and please donate. It's a wonderful cause.
The 48-year-old Western Australian man who was driving the van was not injured in the crash. Major crash investigators combed the scene for a number of hours on Saturday, with the highway closed to traffic. York Mid-North Police diverting road trains until midnight, thanking motorists for their patience while they conducted their investigations. Anyone with information is being urged to contact Crime Stoppers.
Teachers at Broken Hill High School have walked off the job, angry a lack of casual teachers is leaving positions uncovered. The Education Department says vacancies across the state are very low, but the union warns this isn't an isolated issue.
Taking drastic action to have their voices heard. Teachers at Broken Hill High School walking off the job over staffing concerns.
You will find that just about every school in New South Wales has the same problem. They cannot get casual teachers.
A number of teachers stopping work for 10 minutes on Friday.
Their head teacher of science, who is on leave, has still not been replaced.
The Teachers Federation claims shortages are so severe that classes at Broken Hill High School are being run with minimal supervision, being merged into larger classes, and staff are teaching beyond their specialist areas.
The state government and, more particularly, the Department of Education, it's their job to ensure that every class has a fully trained teacher.
The Education Department says it received no advance warning of the stop work, but lunchtime was extended to ensure minimal disruption to students, adding that it's working to fill vacancies and just 2% of roles across the state are unfilled. But the union warns until the problem is solved,
I think that we will be seeing more walk-offs in schools across the state.
Lachlan Itter, 7 Spencer Golf News.
A woman has been reported for drink driving after she was stopped at Quorn. Far North Highway patrols were conducting mobile driver testing duties when they stopped a vehicle on Railway Terrace just after 9 on Friday morning. The driver, a 56-year-old local woman, was breath tested, returning a reading of .105. She was reported for drink driving, issued a 6-month instant loss of licence, and her vehicle was impounded. She will appear in court at a later date. South Australian abalone fishers will be facing new restrictions after a viral disease outbreak interstate. Importation of fresh abalone from New South Wales and Victoria has been banned, with members of the public only allowed to bring in preserved package items. While the disease doesn't affect human health, an outbreak has the potential to cripple the local multi-million-dollar industry. South Australia has never had an occurrence of the virus. Still to come tonight, Frome voters asked to have their say on the controversial voluntary euthanasia bill. And the long lunch returns to Port Lincoln. Welcome back. The member for Frome is asking for last-minute community feedback as the final vote looms on the controversial voluntary euthanasia bill in South Australia's Parliament. It follows months of debate, with amendments now being put on the table.
It's been a long journey for the voluntary euthanasia bill, with state parliaments currently debating the 17th attempt in 26 years to legalise it.
Some of the heartbreaking stories I've heard is very wrenching. It's very bad. It's been very, very bad, quite frankly.
With the final vote scheduled next week, the member for Frome says it's crunch time.
It's gone through from the Legislative Council. It now came back into the Parliament in the last session of Parliament for the second reading speeches.
Mr. Brock is now calling on the community for feedback. Despite his personal support, he wants to base his vote on the view of his constituents.
I want people to have a look at the amendments. I'm quite happy they'll be on my website, the amendments going through. I'll also be here in my office. I'll have copies of those amendments for people who want to, in the final bill, which will be discussed, as I say, next week.
We were really thrilled with the number of MPs who overwhelmingly voted to put the bill to the committee stage.
Supporters of the legislation are calling on locals to make their voice heard.
We urge voters across South Australia, and including those in Frome, to please let your MP know how you feel about this.
Parliament will discuss it once again on June the 9th.
I'm going to be guided very, very much so by the people I represent, and that's what I have to do. It's not my personal conscience at anything at all. I have to represent people, and I'll be doing that as we move forward next Wednesday.
Mark Zeta, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
It's been announced the Royal Flying Doctor Service will play a key role in vaccinating remote communities in our region. The RFDS will deliver and administer vaccines to the APY lands, as well as townships across the far west, including Menindee, Tibooburra and Wilcannia. The federal government says it's committed more than $35 million to the RFDS to assist with COVID-19 activities since April last year. Strict measures have been put on Victorian produce after new fruit fly outbreaks were declared in Port Augusta and Adelaide's southern suburbs. The Primary Industries Minister says the measures are important in helping to prevent further outbreaks.
Taking action to protect an industry at risk. Strict measures now in place after new Mediterranean fruit fly outbreaks were declared in Port Augusta and Warradale.
Sad to see an outbreak in Port Augusta. Most likely that outbreak's occurred by someone bringing fruit in from Western Australia where Mediterranean fruit fly is endemic.
It follows the discovery of maggots in backyard fruit, prompting new measures on the treatment of fruit and vegetables imported from Victoria. The Primary Industries Minister says the measures will protect the state's $1.3 billion horticulture industry.
It's really important that we keep Mediterranean fruit fly out of the horticulture zones of South Australia, particularly the Riverland.
A new fruit fly eradication response is underway, with baiting and ground treatment at the new outbreak sites. Minister Basham says the outbreaks are a reminder for the public to follow the restrictions.
People in Port Augusta will now not be able to move their fruit out of the Port Augusta area while they're in an outbreak zone, and so I think it's so important that people understand that they need to help us to protect this industry.
Port Augusta restrictions will be in place until November 18. Katrina Musson, 7 Spencer Golf News.
8 of Port Lincoln's favourite venues opened its doors to locals and visitors on Sunday as a long lunch returned to the city. Organisers excited about the community's response after last year's event was cancelled due to COVID.
The sun was out, the food and drinks were flowing and music playing as the city of Port Lincoln came together for its long lunch.
The long lunch each year is just a huge celebration of our local food, our local wine, our local people. Everyone gets in and has a go and has a lot of fun, and everyone benefits.
Punters were eager to taste what the local food and wine festival had on offer.
Catching up with a few friends and having a good time, just socialising, having a few beers.
The event also welcoming a number of visitors, with some making the trip from Adelaide to sample the Eyre Peninsula's finest produce. Buses ran between each venue, allowing guests to fully indulge in the day's festivities.
You find people from all over our state that come down, and it's great to see everyone.
The lunch, more than a good day out, with proceeds going towards variety, which supports children in need.
Today's really important. It's really good of the Long Lunch Committee to support a charity, and we've been lucky to have been that charity for the last few years. And that's just a good way of everyone being able to support us.
Patrons making up for lost time after last year's event fell victim to the coronavirus pandemic.
It's a good event that brings everyone together. I'm here with some mates and haven't caught up with them for a while.
Dylan Smith, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Stay with us. A Port Lincoln childcare centre celebrates a special milestone. And we have all the weekend footy scores from across the region. A new study released on World Tobacco Day shows alarming evidence that regional smoking rates are worse than in the city. Rural Doctors Association of Australia figures show 13% of regional residents smoke, compared to less than 10% in metro areas. It says the habit puts an increased strain on local health services, where cancer screening programs can be more difficult to access. Those wanting support are encouraged to call the Smokers Quit line. Parents and friends were treated to a special performance from students at Curtin Point Children's Centre on Friday. The concert marking a special occasion, with the centre celebrating a milestone birthday.
A celebration 10 years in the making. Students, staff and parents coming together at Curtin Point Children's Centre on Friday, marking a special anniversary.
It also happens to be Crazy Hair Day because it's a fun Friday for the preschools.
The centre offers a number of programs for children, ranging from birth to 5 years of age.
We have a series of play groups. We have a multicultural play group, a Nunga play group, a community play group. We have baby song time where parents can bring their children and they sing songs with them.
Starting out as a standalone preschool, the centre expanded its offering to parents.
On an average week, we have about 160 to 200 in a week, and we worked out that over the 10 years, we've had about 3,500 children.
The kids busting some moves for their guests.
We're going to go to a dancing show.
It's interacting with the children and the families, and also we have a fantastic team who are really inclusive of each other. So we have 20 on the staff. And
the group is showing no signs of slowing down.
And it's the unpredictability of what might happen in a day. You never know when you get here what you're going to be confronted with.
Dylan Smith, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Interleague footy has made its much anticipated return to Broken Hill, with the city hosting the Miners' Cup competition. What was expected to be a close game quickly turned into a walkover. Lachlan Etta has this week's footy wrap.
Jubilee Oval hosted the first game of combined footy to be played in Broken Hill since 2007, the Far North Football League making the long journey from the Roxby Downs area. running onto the tube but not in their usual colours. The Broken Hill boys quick to show Far North they mean business. Ethan Slater getting the first points on the board less than 2 minutes in. The wedgies were strong in the centre, but as soon as Broken Hill got their hands on the ball, they were unstoppable. Easily gaining possession, especially in the back line.
Just go and meet the footy and attack from half-back, full-back, wherever. We just wanted to take the game on.
And that's exactly what they did. 34 points to 0 by the end of the first quarter. A kick under pressure getting Far North their first point. Waylon Johncock kicking his side's first goal. But Broken Hill easily outclassed the visitors, just shy of a 100-point margin. Jaden Kelly, the leading goal kicker and among the best on ground.
You played really well, put on a really good example, so well done to you fellas and well deserved to win for the way you played, so thank you.
In the Spencer Golf League, West Augusta's slow start didn't hold them back. Solly's defeated Prop Risdon in a nail-biting clash, and Port had a comfortable win over bottom of the ladder South Augusta. In Port Lincoln, Tasman and Lincoln South claimed wins by less than 20 points, while Marble Range had no problem taking down Boston. To the northeast now, and North Clare and Minman both won relatively close games. Southern Saints had a 34-point win over South Clare, and RSMU made little work of Blythe Snowtown. In Whyalla, Waroona Bay had the biggest win of the week, defeating South Whyalla. West and North Whyalla also winning their games by comfortable margins, giving their percentages a healthy boost. A combined Broken Hill women's side was to play Sunraysia on the weekend as well. Sadly, that game was cancelled due to the COVID lockdown in Victoria. Join us tomorrow night when we'll have the rest of the weekend sport.
Stay with us after the break. A new weekend market launched in Broken Hill. And we'll have the weather details with Alex Sykes. Hello again. Broken Hill locals know how popular the monthly markets are, and now there's a new addition to the calendar. The first car boot sale was held over the weekend, with everything from produce to classic toys up for grabs. While it was a small turnout for the first event, organisers are hopeful it will become as successful as the markets.
I think it will take off over time, and it's another thing for Broken Hill people to come out on a Sunday morning.
The boot sale will be held on the last Sunday of the month at the Centre for Community. Time now to go around the region and see what the weather is looking like for the rest of the week. With all the details, it's good evening to Alex Sykes.
Thanks, John, and good evening, everyone. Cool and cloudy conditions across the Gulf today, except for in Broken Hill, where it was sunny. Some showers are in store the coming days. More on that later. From 3 p.m. today, Port Augusta 19, Kadina reached 17 degrees and Coffin Bay only got to 14. Looking further out across the region now, Whyalla was 18, Port Lincoln, Port Pirie and Adelaide were all 16, Woodner reached 20, Cleve was 17, Clare got to 15 degrees, Cooper Pedy was 22. Taking a look at the satellite image now, cloud forming over much of SA as moisture feeds a trough is causing patchy rain in the west, where cloud is thickening near an approaching low. This extensive cloud is leading to a cool day, and together with freshening increased wind will lead to a mild night. Moving on to tomorrow's weather outlook now, and we'll start with the Gulf waters. North to northeasterly winds 10 to 15 knots, increasing to 20 knots during the morning. Seas around 1 metre, and south to southwesterly swell around 1 metre. A short time ago, there were no current warnings for South Australia. Wet conditions in parts of the Gulf tomorrow. A shower or two in Port Lincoln, Cleve and Woodner, all set to reach 20 degrees. A shower or two developing in Whyalla, 22. Late shower or two in Port Augusta, 24, and Kadina is set to reach 19. Port Pirie, a shower or two, 22 degrees. Similar conditions forecast for Clare, 19, and Broken Hill will be cloudy and 20 degrees. Taking a look further through the week now, and showers across most centres, including Adelaide, Kadina, Port Pirie, Port Lincoln, Whyalla, Port Augusta and Broken Hill. Partly cloudy in Cooper Pedy. Temperatures set to be in the high teens. Similar conditions forecast again on Thursday. Showers across most parts of the Gulf except for Broken Hill and Cooper Pedy. Partly cloudy conditions there. 20 will be the region's highest top temperature, while 17 will be the lowest top temperature. And those showers are set to clear up just in time for the weekend across most parts of the Gulf. A shower or two in Port Pirie, 18 degrees on Friday. Partly cloudy across the rest of the region. Cooper Pedy and Port Augusta will record the region's high of 19 degrees, while Broken Hill will just get to a top of 15. Temperatures in the mid to high teens everywhere else. So John, time to dust off the umbrella this week, and that's all the weather from me for tonight. Back to you.
Great stuff there. Thanks, Alex. And that's the local news this Monday evening. Thanks for joining us. I'll have updates later, and we will be back tomorrow at 7 p.m. Until then, on behalf of the team, enjoy your evening. Good night.